Welcome back to Dear Monday. I'm TuRhonda Freeman. If you were with me last episode, you know where we left off. We met Erin, the woman standing at the edge of a commitment that will change the shape of her life. We named that edge. We said this show would ask questions she's been carrying around without quite having language for them yet. This is where we start making good on that promise. But before we get to Erin, I want to tell you something I've noticed, not as a researcher, but as someone who has sat in a lot of rooms with people at this exact moment. I spent years inside franchise ownership and deal advisory. What that means practically is that I sat across from a lot of people who were deep in the discovery process. They had done their homework, they had read the FDD, run the numbers, talked to current owners, attended Discovery Day. By every reasonable measure, they had what they needed to decide. And they were still waiting. Not stalling, not confused, not overwhelmed by the details, just waiting for something to shift, for it to feel obvious, for the decision to make itself finally, the way they kind of been hoping it would. I watched it enough times to know it isn't just a coincidence, it's a pattern. It has a name, even if most people in that moment can't quite say what they're waiting for. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Here's the tension I want to hold with you. The information Erin is being given is real, and it's not the information she actually needs. So let's talk about what the process offers and what it can't. I want to be clear about something before we go any further, because I think it matters for how you hear what comes next. Here's Erin. She's a few weeks into discovery. She's been told to talk to Marcus. He's 4 years in the system. He's got 2 locations. If anyone can answer her questions, it's him. She's prepared 7 questions organized by category. She opens up a second notebook just for this call. 42 minutes. Marcus is generous, honest, specific. His numbers track with item 19. She takes 3 pages of notes, hangs up, sits very still, and realizes she is still waiting for something. Every question she brought got answered. She's still no closer. She thinks about scheduling another validation call. There's still 2 more franchisees on her list. And that feeling, that particular emptiness after a conversation that went exactly right, is one of the most important signals in the entire process. Not a warning sign, a signal. And it's pointing to something the process cannot fix because the process didn't create it. This franchise discovery process is not a trap. The FDD is a real document. Validation calls are a real resource. Discovery Day is a genuine opportunity to see the operation, meet the team, ask hard questions. Item 19, financial performance representation, is actual data. None of these things are designed to deceive you. The franchisor believes in their system. They built something they want to grow with people who will succeed in it. What the process is designed to do, and that is simply the truth of how it works, is build momentum toward a decision. And each step in the discovery sequence is engineered to answer the last step of questions well enough that you're ready to move to the next step. So the FDD answers legal questions. So you get to the financial conversation. Financial conversation answers viability questions, so you can get to validation. Validation answers operational questions, so you get to discovery. Discovery answers cultural questions, so you get to signing. It's a well-constructed funnel. And inside a well-constructed funnel, forward is the direction of least resistance. Now, that's not a criticism. It's just how sales works. So, understanding the structure doesn't mean distrusting the people in it. It means knowing that the process was built to move you forward. And that means that the burden of clarity rests on you, not on the process. So here's what the process genuinely cannot tell you. It cannot tell you whether this is the right season of your life for this commitment. The obligations of ownership don't bend to accommodate a difficult year in your marriage, or a parent who needs you, or a health season you didn't plan for. The process has no mechanism to ask you about those kind of things. It can't tell you whether the obligation matches the life you actually want to be living 5 years from now. Not the life you project on a spreadsheet, the one you want to wake up inside of. The hours, the weight of it. What it will ask of the people around you. And this one, I'm just going to ask you to hold for just a moment. Whether you're drawn to this opportunity or the version of yourself you imagine inside of it. I mean, do you actually want this? Or do you want to be the kind of person who does this? I'm not asking you to answer that right now, but just sit with it. So, what is Erin actually waiting for? I mean, she's sitting with 3 pages of notes. She would tell you she's still gathering information, that there are 2 more validation calls on her list, that she wants to look more carefully at the territory data before she decides. And all of that is true. Those are real things she is doing. But underneath the doing, something else is happening. She's not waiting for more information. She already has the information. What she's waiting for is permission. And permission looks specific in this context. It looks like a validation call where a franchisee says something that finally removes the doubt. Not just answers the question, but dissolves the hesitation underneath it. It looks like a broker who says, based on everything I know about you, this is the one. And means it in a way that can carry her into the hard moments. It looks like a discovery day where something clicks so completely that she stops second guessing and just knows. She's waiting for someone inside the process to hand her the green light. And she's been told by the structure of the process itself that the green light is coming, that she just needs to keep going. Here's the problem. Permission from the outside cannot carry the weight of a commitment this size. When the hard seasons come, and in ownership, trust me, they come, the franchisor said it was a proven system, will not hold you enough. The broker said it was a good fit, will not be enough. The validation call went well, will not be enough. The weight of a major commitment has to rest on something you built yourself. On your own reasoning, your own eyes open, your own honest reckoning with what this will cost and what it's worth. So, what Erin is really waiting for isn't a call or a conversation or a discovery day. It's a version of herself that feels certain. A moment where the doubt lifts and the path is clear and the decision makes itself. And I want to tell you something about that version of herself. She's not coming. Not because the decision is wrong, not because Aaron isn't ready, but because certainty, the kind that removes doubt entirely, is not how commitment works. It never is. What actually precedes a good commitment is not certainty, it's clarity. And those are not the same thing. Certainty is knowing it will work. Clarity is knowing why you're doing it. And the process can feed certainty or the feeling of it. It can give you data, validation, enthusiasm, a well-sequenced set of answers to well-sequenced questions. It's very good at that. But clarity is knowing this. This is what I'm committing to. This is what it will cost. This is what it's worth. And I'm choosing it anyway. That cannot be handed to you. It has to be built by you on your own terms before you sign anything. So, what are you waiting for someone to tell you? That's the question I want to ask you today. What are you waiting for someone to tell you? Now just sit with that before you answer. Because the first answer is usually the polished one, right? I just want to make sure the numbers work, or I want to feel more confident about the territory. And those are real, but they're usually sitting on top of something else. Here are some of the things that I've heard underneath in different words from different people at different stages of this process. Let's see if any of them land. This is the right one. She wants someone with real authority, someone who knows more than she does, who has seen this from the inside, to look at her specific situation and confirm it. Not just say the system is good, but say, for you, this one. You're ready. She wants someone to tell her that who she is right now, her experience, her capacity, her financial position, her life is enough. That she doesn't have to become a different version of herself for this. That she's already qualified for this. The risk is manageable. She knows there's risk. She's made peace with risk in the abstract. What she wants is for someone she trusts to look at the specific risk in front of her and say, this is within range for what people like you can absorb and recover from. That's not the kind of risk that changes everything if it goes wrong. This is worth it. The trade-offs are real. The time, the capital, the personal cost, the obligations that will be hard to unwind. She can see them clearly. What she wants is for someone to tell her that what she's giving up is proportionate to what she's getting, that the exchange is fair. Each one of those is a real thing to want. Each one, I think, named something Erin hasn't been able to say directly, even to herself. And the process, though well-intentioned, professionally run, is not equipped to answer any of them. Not really, because none of those answers belong to someone else. You might recognize yourself in the waiting, even if you haven't named it. Here's what it can look like from the outside. See, the goalposts keep moving. One more validation call, one more piece of territory data, one more conversation from a current owner, You keep finding one next thing to learn before you can decide. And then you learn it, and there's always another next thing. You feel relief when something rules out an option. Not because you didn't like the option, sometimes you did, but because having one fewer thing to hold feels better than having one more thing to weigh. You notice you're sometimes looking for reasons to eliminate, not reasons to pursue. You're even more comfortable talking about what you're considering than committing to what you're doing. You can have a fluent, thoughtful conversation about your process, your criteria, your timeline. But if somebody asks, "So what are you doing?" There's a pause, a still exploring, a not quite there yet. You've had what you needed for a while. The information is in. The due diligence is largely done. And still, you're not moving. And you're not entirely sure why. The reason you're not moving is not more research. The reason you're waiting, the reason is that you're waiting for someone else to close the gap that only you can close. So let's talk about what she actually needs. So if permission isn't it, and certainty isn't it, what does Erin actually need before she can move? Not a feeling, not a sign. Three things, and I'm going to say they're all within reach. First, a clear picture of the obligation, not just the opportunity. The process will show you the opportunity thoroughly. It will show you the earnings potential, the brand support, training programs, franchisee satisfaction scores. What it is slower to surface and what you have to ask for directly is a full picture of the obligation. What does ownership actually require? Day to day, month to month, year 1 through year 5. Not in a best case version. We're talking the real version. The hours, the capital demands, personal guarantees, the things that will be hard to step away from once they're in motion. I want you to look at that directly. And then ask yourself honestly whether you can say yes to it. Secondly, your own voice on the record. Somewhere in this process, Erin has deferred. Deferred to the data, to the broker, to the validation calls, to the framework that she built herself. And that deferral made sense when she was gathering. But at some point, she stopped asking what everyone else thinks and says what she thinks. Not because her opinion is more valid than the data, but because at the end of it, she is the one who's signing. Her name is on it. Her money is in it. Her life is being reshaped by it. Her voice needs to be the loudest one in the room before any of that happens. So say it out loud. Write it down if you need to. Own it. Not as a performance of confidence, but as an honest record of where you actually are. Here's what I'm willing to do. Here is what I'm not willing to do. And I think that document matters more than any spreadsheet. Lastly, a question that she can actually answer. Not, will this work? She can't know that. Nobody can. The question isn't answerable, which is part of why she keeps looking for more data. She's hoping the data will eventually make the unanswerable answerable, and it won't. But there is a question she can answer. Am I willing to do what it requires? Not will it succeed. Not will it be worth it in the end. Not, is this the right one? Those are all questions about the future that no amount of research can close. But am I willing to do what it requires? She can answer that. She has the information. The question is whether she is the person who is willing to do that in this season of her life with what she has and who she is right now. That answer, given honestly, is the beginning of clarity. Let's bring it back to Erin before we close. She's sitting at a table. She's got the notebook open, her 3 pages of notes from the call with Marcus in front of her. And she's thinking about scheduling the next validation call. And what I want to say to her, what I want to say to you, if you're her, is this. The waiting is not a character flaw. It's not weakness or indecision or a sign that you're not built for this. It is your instinct doing exactly what it's supposed to do, protecting you from a commitment that deserves more than momentum. And that instinct is good. It should be listened to. But there is a difference between an instinct that is protecting you and an instinct that has become a place to live. And you are the only one who can tell which one you're inside right now. So the process will give you information. It will give you data, access, perspective, the experiences of people who have done what you're considering doing. All of that is real and all of it matters. What the process cannot give you is clarity. Clarity is what you bring to the information. It is your own honest reckoning with what you want, what you're willing to do, and what you're actually ready to commit before the contract is in front of you, not after. One without the other is how people sign things they're not ready to sign. So, here's the question I want you to sit with this week. Not a task, not a worksheet, one question for when it's quiet enough to answer honestly. What am I waiting for someone to tell me? And what would it mean if I told it to myself? Coming up in episode 3, Erin has named the waiting. She knows what she's been looking for, and she knows why no one in the process can give it to her. And now what? Next episode, we talk about what it looks like to move without the green light. That gap between I think I'm ready and actually moving, and why that gap is wider than most people expect. What do you do when your own yes scares you? That's episode 3. I'll see you there. And if something in today's episode landed, if you recognized your own waiting or heard a question that named something you hadn't been able to name, this is the conversation I have with people before they sign anything, before the commitment, when the thinking still belongs entirely to you. To learn more about the advisory work behind this show, visit www.dearmonday.co. You don't have to figure this out alone. Clarity before commitment. Take care.